Hail, you sinners and saints. You know, cars remind us of harsh facts in natural physics. They remind us that water exists as a liquid in the radiator, a solid when it's ice on your windshield, and a vapor when it's coming out of the exhaust pipe. Remember, however, that I read some time ago that water can become even more. You know, here we look at water and it's in a transition state. We call it snow. It's not quite ice yet, but it's getting there. We got about a foot of it here up in New York State. And it's caused some getting around problems, but we're dealing with it. Water is a tricky substance. I remember in the automobile, it can be a disastrous substance or it can be good. You see, water is used in most automotive engines today to cool them down, to keep them from burning up from the fuel they burn. Oh, here's my turn. Yeah, water is used to keep the engine cool, except for a couple of vehicles. The Volkswagen has an air-cooled engine, along with Porsche, and there might be a few others. And most of your a lot of your small engines rather are air-cooled rather than water-cooled, because water cooling adds components: a water jacket, water pump, and so forth, and thermostats to keep temperature control. That can be difficult. I remember that years ago, Ford built a flathead Ford V8, which was also used in Mercury, and they had some inherited cooling system troubles occasionally. See those old Ford flatheads? They had a cooling system that was built for the V8, which had a left and right sides. That means they had two upper radiator hoses, two lower radiator hoses, two water pumps, and two thermostats. The left side and right side were supposed to operate in the same way, kind of like a married couple is supposed to work together. Well, that was good as long as both worked together. Sometimes it didn't. You see, every once in a while, you'd find out that one of those thermostats would stick, either sticking open or sticking closed. Now, whenever one of those thermostats, their water control valves that open and close at a certain temperature, whenever one of them would stick and the other one would stay open, they'd cause one side of the engine to run cooler than the other side. Now, this doesn't seem like it'd be too tragic, except the engine was made of cast iron, and cast iron doesn't like unequal temperatures too well. The result would be that you'd end up with a crack between a cylinder and a valve seat in that flathead block, and that would spell big trouble. You would sometimes even stop. see a lot of those white Ford trucks running around. You'd think a company wouldn't want white trucks running around in a snowstorm. Kind of hard to see. But as time goes on, you'll see that out here in the country, there seems to be a lot of them running around. Now, whenever the temperature difference in a flathead engine, that V8 engine, would occur, a crack would usually appear between a cylinder and a valve seat. That would result in either a exhaust that was exhibiting signs of the leak because it was steam, or the radiator would have a whole bunch of brown goo in it. I remember that brown goo. See, back in the middle of the last century, I came to the point where I got my driver's license, and my first car was a 1940 Ford with the V8 flathead. Then after that, I had a 1949 Mercury with a Mercury flathead. And then after that, when I went in the military to North Dakota, I had a 1953 Ford. And that Ford lived in a very severe environment. It went down to 40 below zero and more. And one time the thermostat stuck, and sure enough, the block cracked. Now, whenever a block cracked in a V8 Ford equipped car, the best and cheapest way to go was just replace that block with a short block. And we could buy it without heads and put your heads, cylinder heads on it, and carburetor and so forth, and just keep on trucking. But the block itself would take some real doing to be repaired, and sometimes the repair wouldn't be successful at all. Kind of reminds me of times when people get divorced, when one side doesn't work too well and against the other. When people get married, see, they're supposed to stay together, kind of like a V8 that's built with 4 cylinders on one side and 4 cylinders on the other. Jesus went to a wedding one time. He showed us what the control over the elements of nature was all about. See, he was dealing with water, but he dealt with it in a different way. You see, he was at a wedding, and that wedding almost came to a complete stop because the people ran out of some cheap wine that they'd been drinking. Well, Jesus' mother heard about the fact that they'd run out of wine, so she told Jesus to do something about it. Well, Jesus turned around to her because he hadn't really begun his ministry yet, and he says, "What does this have to do to me? What do I have to do with it?" And she told the steward there, the head of the feast, to listen to him. Well, Jesus, he told the steward to get 6 big jugs and fill them with water. So he filled them with water, and then Jesus sent everybody out of the room and did what God can do, miracles. And he turned that water into wine. Water is an amazing substance. H2O, hydrogen, and 2 parts oxygen. It can be a liquid, it can be a solid, and it can be a vapor. Sometimes we let our love between a couple just vaporize in the midst of everything, but God can put it back together.
One day, like a tidal wave, a hurricane, like a thunderstorm, the pouring rain, it comes rolling in, and right away, oh, it hits you like a ton of lead. Oh yeah, it'll mess with your head. You won't know where to begin. You can't keep up, you fall behind. You lost your aim, can't clear your mind. Like a fire burning wild, a freight train you can't stop. Like a nightmare, but this time you don't wanna wake up. It pulls you in, it takes over. You just can't let go of the worst, best thing that's ever happened to you. No way, this is real, no it can't be true. Maybe for someone else, but not for you. Still you pray that it'll stay and hit you harder, don't go away. Hit you deeper, running through your veins for one more day.